Welcome to the Confidence Through Health podcast. My name is Jerry Snyder. As a health, wellness, and sports performance coach, my goal each week is to bring you experts to help you take control of your health and build your self-confidence. Thanks for including me today on your journey to better health. I'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, All In Health and Wellness. If you're looking for a health coach, you're looking for a sports performance coach, you're looking for nutrition guidance, like for instance, a meal-by-meal plan that will help you understand how to eat. It will teach you how to eat, and it will give your body, your cells, the proper nutrition to feel great and be able to perform at your best, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally. If you're looking for those things, you're looking for the key to improve your sports performance, both from a nutrition standpoint and an exercise physical standpoint and a mental standpoint as you approach your athletic event. All In Health and Wellness is able to help in these areas. Go to allinhealthandwellness.com and you'll find the contact information for how to get in touch with them and get started on the plan that will improve your life. Well, Bill, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Confidence Through Health podcast.
It is a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me.
And I want to make sure our listeners know that this is you bring a slightly different aspect of expertise to the podcast. Normally, I'm interviewing health experts or people that are looking at specific parts of someone's body to help improve and all that. And you're looking at it more from helping somebody with their life overall, right? Like getting
That's
their
right.
life together and like how do you live every day with your priorities set correctly so that you can get the most out of it, right?
That's right. I'm really passionate about personal development and leadership development. You know, everything rises and falls on leadership, but we can't lead others if we don't lead ourselves. So
Right.
I'm really passionate about that personal development, and that comes into all areas of our life. If we want to become better, we got to grow intentionally with our health,
Right.
with our mindset, and spiritually, in so many different aspects of our lives. Absolutely.
Yep. And I love the word you use there, intentionally, because that's something that I changed my life by being intentional with the things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's a big word. It's a scary word for a lot of people to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to do things in an intentional fashion. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do we start doing that?
Well, first we must realize, Jerry, that most people accept their lives. They don't lead their lives.
Yeah.
So to be an intentional person means I'm going to take ownership of the life that I'm living. I'm going to decide what are my true priorities and begin to fill my calendar first with those priorities and be intentional about our life. So, yeah, I think that's the first key to living an intentional life is realizing that that most people go by day, just accepting what comes at them. And but if we want to live a more fulfilled life, then it takes intentionality, and that's what I love teaching people in what I call priority living, is really all about living that intentional life.
Right. And by no means does that mean it's easy, right?
Oh, no way. But my mentor, John Maxwell, says it this way. I quote him often by saying when he says, everything worthwhile is uphill
Oh, yeah.
all the way.
Yeah.
So it's not just uphill, it's uphill all the way.
Yeah.
So I think John goes on to add something like this. I don't know if I'll get the quote exactly right. He says, everything worthwhile is uphill all the way. The problem is we have uphill hopes, but downhill daily habits.
Mm.
So if we that goes back to the intentionality that we're just
Yep.
talking about.
Yep.
And but that really helps me to understand that the things that I want to accomplish in my life, whether it be my health or and wellness, whether it be my financial security and landscape, whether it be relationships, I mean, almost fill in any category there.
Yeah.
Things often take longer than we thought. They cost more money than we thought, and they're more difficult than we thought they would be.
Yeah.
We often hear it said, if it were easy, everyone would do it.
Yep.
If it were easy, everyone would do it. So when we get our mindset around the fact that you know what I'm moving towards, that's important to me, that I'm going to be intentional about, it's going to be uphill. I'm going to get
Yeah.
some resistance. I'm going to have some setbacks. But as long as I know that going in, then I have the right mindset to be able to persevere
Mm.
and climb that hill that's ahead of us, because we know that there's importance and value in it, and so we're willing to make the climb.
Right. And as you say that, the thing that pops in my head is also that there's always going to be that unknown obstacle that pops up. We can have the
Right.
best laid plan in the world and
That's
all the
right.
intentionality and discipline and commitment and all the different, like, throw everything at it, and there's still going to be something that we don't know is coming that's going to try and derail us, right?
Absolutely. So, you know, typically, because I live in Minnesota, a colder climate, I do more cardio indoors throughout most of the year. But when it starts to get end of spring into the summer, I so look forward to the longer days, and I look forward to my early mornings that I can get out and run and walk. And so this year was on the trajectory that I had planned, and and I was having days that was 5 to 6.5 miles, and then I got a knee injury. And
Ooh.
so there you go,
Yeah.
setback right there. And so I went to my chiropractor and said, what's going on here? And he made an adjustment to my back as well as my knee. And then, I needed to take some time to rest that knee
Right.
and now get back out there again. But there was a setback. And
Yeah.
so whatever it is for each of us, we always face those setbacks, and that can be discouraging. But the thing that we have to remember is that sometimes those setbacks are setups for a comeback. So
Mhm.
so we just need to navigate that well, and then get back out there as to whatever it is we're moving towards, and
Yeah.
then we can climb that hill again. you
Right.
know?
Right. Well, and that, yeah, that goes to and I tell people this all the time when it's whether it's from they've got an athletic aspiration or, just physical fitness or health, weight
Mhm.
loss, whatever it is like, I can help you get there and put the pieces in place. I can't tell you when it's going to happen.
That's right.
Right. Like if you stay on the plan, I can tell you it's going to happen. I just can't tell
Hmm.
you when it's going to happen. Um,
That's so
and
good.
that's a frustrating piece because we all want it right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that just leads me to think about a quote that I put in my book, or a statement in my book, is that direction is more important than speed.
Mm,
Uh, Matter of fact, I precede that statement by saying I see a lot of people going nowhere fast.
right.
Direction is more important than speed. So I love what you said there, Jerry, is that when we're going in the right direction, we may not be able to determine the timetable in which we'll achieve that, but as long as we're going in the right direction, we're making forward progress,
Right.
and that's how we achieve whatever it is that we want to achieve.
Yeah. And if you keep those priorities in place, you're just going to, you will wake up one day and go like, oh, wow, I got here.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so keeping it, but the flip side of keeping those priorities in place and knowing what you want and going after those things is the difficult piece in today's society of basically putting blinders on and ignoring the stuff that's there to distract you.
Boy,
Right.
that's
It
so
may
good.
not be an actual obstacle for you but it's pulling at it's pulling at you, trying to say, come over here and look at me, come over here and do this.
Mhm. Absolutely. I often share it's kind of a silly illustration, but it proves the point of what you're saying right there. And so just imagine that you have a tree. Matter of fact, I need to give the disclaimer. No trees have been harmed in this illustration.
Right.
Okay. But imagine you have a tree in your backyard, and that tree, for whatever the reason, needs to come down.
Yep.
So you go out in the backyard with an axe, and you swing the axe just 5 times, and you go back in the house, and the next day you come back out, you pick up the axe, you swing it just 5 times. Now, 5 times swinging an axe doesn't seem like much is happening, no matter the
Right.
size of the tree. But if that consistency, that intentionality that we're talking about, happens day after day after day, it really doesn't matter if it's a small, medium, or large tree.
Mhm.
That tree will eventually come down.
Right.
And out of that illustration, we come up with several key points that can apply to any goal. It doesn't have to be cutting down a tree. It can be any goal that we want to achieve. First is we have to have that clearly defined goal.
Mhm.
And sometimes we have too many things in our head and not clarity on what is the goal.
Right.
In this illustration, obviously it's taken down the tree, but it could be any goal that we want to set before us. We have to have a clearly defined goal. Second, we have to take action. We can't look out in the backyard and go, man, I wish that tree would come down, or
Yeah.
think about whatever our goal is. We have to actually, number two, we have to take action. Number three, we need the right tool. Now, we could go out there with a baseball bat or a shovel. We're
Right.
probably not going to be as effective in bringing the tree down. So, whatever the goal that we might have, we need to think of what are the resources and the tools that we need, whether it's people, whatever it is, in order to
Yep.
accomplish that. And then this applies to what you were saying, Jerry. We Number four, we need to stay focused. There
Mhm.
might be more trees in the backyard, but we don't swing the axe randomly at any tree. We've
Yep.
got a specific goal in mind that we are going after. I've heard the phrase, the one who chases two rabbits catches neither one.
Oh yeah.
Um, Boy, I have been so distracted at times that I wonder why it takes so long to accomplish something. So then the final step in that is, with that illustration, is we need consistency,
Mhm.
because consistency compounds.
Right.
And just like, exercise, we don't see much the first time we lift up weights, except for we might be a little sore, but it's the consistency that actually gets us the results.
Right.
And so it is with any goal that we might have, just like this simple illustration of chopping down a tree. And so that focus that you were stating is so important, so that we don't get distracted and, what do we call it? The squirrel effect. Oh,
Right.
squirrel over
Yep.
here.
Yep.
We need to stay, keep the main thing the main thing.
Right. Well, and and that is ultimately like the main thing when you have a big goal,
Hmm.
but you also don't want to have too many main things.
Right.
Right. And I see this. When I was managing people, working in the corporate world, I saw this all the time with people that like, oh, I'm going to do this project, or I want to start that project, or I want to do this. And I'm like, can you finish something? Right. Like, let's get one thing done and then move on. And like, and I understand multitasking and all of that, and which really doesn't work. Um, but it's okay. Do one thing.
Yes.
Right. Get one thing done and then move on. And I do this with I break this down with my sprinters that I work with, because they're like, I just want to run fast. I'm like, I know you want to run fast, but we have to fix the start of your race. All we're gonna do is fix the start. We can't do the rest until you start well. If you don't
Hmm.
start well, it doesn't matter what the rest of your race looks like. So we'll fix the start, and then we'll move on to the next piece, and then the next piece.
That's
And
good.
they're like, I didn't realize there were this many pieces to running a 200-meter race. Like, it
Hmm.
seems like you just start running. And like, no, there's to do it well, there's a lot of pieces. And I think that's the way with a lot of pieces of life. To do it well, you can do it, but to do it well, there's a
Yes.
lot more pieces involved than we realize.
Hmm. That comes back to the intentionality we were
Mhm.
speaking of earlier, right? It's that we need to be intentional, and set that clearly defined goal, and stay focused and be consistent.
Mhm.
And we'll get there. I love that.
So what do you think in your estimation is what's the biggest thing holding people back from just making that switch and living their life with priorities?
Yeah. Well, I think a big piece for many of us is our mindset.
Mhm.
And in our mindset, we can get stuck. Speaking of running, when there's a technique to increase your running by having resistance. So
Mhm.
so runners put on a parachute,
Right.
and they call them running parachutes. And those running parachutes give you the resistance so that you can build up the stamina. And then when we take off the running parachute, or cut the cords, you can then run much more efficiently.
Mhm.
Well, I think many of us, without knowing it, we may have running parachutes in our mind, and it's our mindset. And as a leadership coach, that's one of the things that I help business people with. entrepreneurs, and just people in general that want to go farther faster.
Mhm.
And they feel like there's some things that are holding them back, and they may not even know what they are.
Yeah.
But I often identify them as running parachutes. And so we begin to unpack that through a series of questions as to what it is that's holding you back.
Mhm.
And um, some of it could just be priorities. We've got too many things going at one time, and so we're not effective with anything,
Right.
and we're just overwhelmed. I often see people depleted of passion and of energy, and so we need to scale back and be able to get clarity in our mindset in order to be able to have breakthrough in the areas that we want to have breakthrough in our life. I think that's a huge piece. In my book, Priority Living, I have 7 pillars that I focus my life on
Mhm.
that helps me make my life count. And the first pillar is the pillar of purpose. So that's another thing. I mean, mindset's a big one for us. We need
Right.
breakthrough in our mindset. We also need clarity in our purpose. And purpose is giving the best of what you have to serve or help others. And so when we get clarity in our purpose, then we begin to get some real traction in moving forward. I love the quote from Mark Twain, who said the two greatest days in a person's life is the day you were born and the day you discover why
Right.
you were born. And that comes back to purpose. We all have a purpose, why we're here, and are we fulfilling our purpose? Do we have clarity? Have we discovered our purpose
Right.
so that we can be moving in the direction that gives us the most fulfillment in life? That's what we receive as a result of living our purpose is fulfillment, and that a combination of that with the right mindset can really get us some traction of living the most fulfilled life we can
Right.
ever imagine.
Right. And I love that you keep saying fulfilled and fulfillment because
Hmm.
when people use the word success, you have a successful life, you have like there's that word is there's so many different connotations in today's society, right? And
Yes.
so it's like, I think if you were to come up to anybody on the street and say, what's your definition of success? They're probably going to first or second answer is going to be financial,
Right.
right? Like how much money you have in the bank, and like what's your job pay you, and there's there's so many other ways to be fulfilled and live a fulfilling life than
Absolutely.
just relying on the financial side of it.
Hmm. Yeah, when I was 16, 17 years old, I have an uncle that was a small business owner, he and my aunt, and he introduced me to personal development. He introduced me to Zig Ziglar
Mhm.
and other authors. And back then it was in the 80s. So now we're talking cassette tapes I was listening
Right.
to and really growing myself. And I remember 17, 18 years old listening to Zig Ziglar talk about what's your definition of success.
Hmm.
And so from an early age really began to give some thought and focus of that in my life of what defines success for me.
Hmm.
And again, stereotypical, especially a teenager, but anybody for that matter, we start thinking about fame or fortune or
Right.
whatever, but really wanted to focus in on fulfillment. What will be the most fulfilling life I can live? And to me, that will be my definition of living a
Yeah.
successful life, is because I'm fulfilled.
Right.
Doesn't matter as much about fame or fortune. It matters about am I giving the best of what I have to serve and help others? And
Right.
as a result of that, I'm living a fulfilled life.
Right. Well, and mine is similar to that in that my goal every day is to make an impact in someone's life for the better.
Hmm.
Like, it doesn't have to be everybody's life.
Yes.
It's just one person. If I can get, and I don't even have to know I did it, right?
Hmm.
Like, but if I can get through the day making an impact in someone's life, then I can put my head on the pillow and go, okay, today was a good day. Yeah, I had troubles, I had issues, there were
Hmm.
negatives, there were arguments, there were, different things that happened, but did did I do what I set out to do?
Right.
You know? So,
That,
um,
that's outstanding.
so with this mindset change
Hmm.
that and you said something early on in that, like, you can't lead people until you take care of yourself, right? Basically, like, you've got to understand who you are, where you're coming from. And and for me, when I went through that, I learned that I was basically in the wrong room.
Hmm.
Like, I was trying to lead people, and I was leading people and doing well, but I was in the wrong room to be able to
Hmm.
truly fulfill what my purpose was. And so once I switched rooms, did I have to start over? Yeah, I had to start over, right? And like, but the 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 travel to the top was a lot shorter because I was in the right space, right? And and I'm sure that that happens to a lot of people, that they're butting up against, I can't find the way, I can't, because they're just not in the right, they're not in the right space or industry or environment,
Hmm.
right? Does that sound familiar?
Absolutely. And we call that the law of the mirror.
Mhm.
The law of the mirror says you have to know yourself to grow yourself.
Mhm.
And so once we know ourselves, then we can be that intentional person about growing ourselves. And now we put ourselves in positions and places with people that gives us the proximity where we're going to be able to be most effective, again, most fulfilled as well.
Right.
Um, and because we're able to live out our purpose in a more meaningful way, we're not pushing against and grinding against an environment or an atmosphere that isn't really conducive
Yeah.
for our skill set, our experience, our personality, all those things. But we're able to really thrive, and we're not striving, but we're able to thrive. And
Mhm.
I think that's a really important thing is knowing yourself. There's so many great assessments that are out there. I mean, people are so familiar with so many different ones, from Strength Finder to Myers-Briggs to, I mean, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And one that I found very valuable is a newer assessment within the last year. It's called the Purpose Factor,
Mm.
and that helps give clarity on our purpose. I'm actually a certified purpose coach, so I love to walk people through a debrief on their assessment
Yeah.
and help them better understand the clarity of their purpose. Because once you get clarity on your purpose, now you get direction, and you
Mhm.
can find out, what, this is why I'm having resistance here. This is why I'm not as
Right.
fulfilled, or this is why maybe I'm in the wrong space, the wrong career, the wrong business. And we begin to make the right shifts that are going to help us. I love how you said, Jerry, that you climbed faster. It was a lot shorter because you were realizing that you found the right environment for you. And I
Yeah.
think that's important for all of us.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of times comes with taking that step back to have that reflection of what's going on, because our tendency is, and some of us have been taught this in whether it was sports or school, depending on the environment you came up in, or parenting, is you just keep trying, just try harder, just keep going, right? And it's like, okay, but that's not always the right answer.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's an important thing. Sometimes we're climbing the wrong hill. And
Yeah.
so instead of it being maybe the everything worthwhile is uphill, a hill, instead we're climbing a steep, jaded climb because we're not climbing where we should be climbing.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's really important. So for myself, there's times in my life where I realize, why am I not getting forward momentum here as I anticipated I would? Well, it could be the right hill, but it could be the wrong time. I think that's also
Oh.
another key component is timing. I'm a drummer. I grew up as a drummer, and I know that keeping time is the
Oh yeah.
most important thing. I can't speed up the song. I can't drag the song. I got to keep time, and that's really important in our lives,
Yeah.
is that we have a sensitivity to the timing of things. I've had things in my business that I just know that I know are gonna be amazing,
Yep.
and then I step out there to do them, and I just get resistance and closed doors,
Hmm.
and then I slow down and I reflect on it a little bit. The keys to success, the bookends of success, are preparation and evaluation.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting the breakthrough. So I begin to evaluate what's going on here. And I come to realize this, I thought that I'm excited about this, but I come to realize it's not the right time. I
Right.
need to slow down and I need to wait till the season changes to when
Right.
it's the right time. And then I'll do the same thing I was trying to do earlier
Yeah.
that I wasn't working, that wasn't working. And now all of a sudden I'm like, wow, there's an ease to this.
Yeah.
So that's another key thing that we always want to be mindful of when it comes to breakthrough is that is it the right time for this?
Yeah. Yeah, my wife went through this recently with a job offer that came out of nowhere
Hmm.
and in a different city. And so it was
Hmm.
like, okay, we would have to move, we'd have to do all this and looking at it, and she was like, this is exactly what I want to do with the rest of my life. Like this is it. This is the step. And we were like, okay, well, and I told her, I said, that's let's talk about it, let's figure it out, let's go. But like that's I want you to be happy whichever way we go, right? And it's not that she's not happy where she's at. She loves what she's at. She loves what she's doing. And what we kept coming back to was that statement of like if it was at a different time, it would make much more sense. But it's just like w- with the amount that it was like okay, it's a salary increase, but the cost of living is more expensive, moving, all of those things, right? And so it was like we had to pass
Hmm.
because she was like, it's what I want to do, but that nothing else fits.
Mm.
And and sometimes I think having the ability to and bounce those ideas off of other people,
Yes.
because there were people that we trusted that wouldn't share the news anywhere or anything that we said, okay, this is what we're thinking about. What do we and I think a lot of people don't make decisions in that fashion. They just,
Mm.
oh, that's what I want. I'm gonna go for it. And they don't think about all the other outside factors um and get somebody else's opinion who's not in the thrust of the emotional side of
Mm.
this could be life changing.
Right. Oh, that's a really powerful example of that, and I love the reaching out to others because we know there's wisdom in the counsel of others, and so
Right.
getting others that are trusted in our life that will be confidential about it, but be able to weigh in. I love that you said they're without emotion, but just
Hmm.
looking at the opportunity and well, I believe that that could just be a foretaste of something when the season's right for your wife that
Right.
she'll get the right opportunity again,
Right.
and I believe it'll even be a better
Right.
opportunity than this one because of just waiting it out for the right time.
Yeah.
Because absolutely without a doubt, I believe our now leads to our next.
Hmm.
So over and over in our life, whatever we're doing now, it's where we should be most likely, and it's we're making a difference, we're having impact, but we're also being prepared, we're gaining a skill set, we're gaining
Right.
connections, whatever it is, so that our now can lead to our next. And that's always exciting when we see new doors open because we've been steadfast, faithful,
Hmm.
consistent wherever we are. And, as a person of faith, I believe that the Lord opens those doors at
Yep.
the right time in the future. And so I'm believing for that for you, for your wife in this
Yep.
situation.
Yeah. And it's the having the other people in your life to be able to help, I think is key because they can also see, like I said, without emotion, they can see those pitfalls maybe that
Mhm.
you're not looking at because you're so focused on, oh my gosh, but that's what I want,
Right.
and to have somebody else go, okay, well, yeah, it just might not be the right time.
Mhm.
You can still want that. It's just it'll come around again, and I think a lot of times that happens, and and you'll see that it'll come back around. You don't know
Mhm.
when, but it'll come back around. You'll be like, oh, okay, that's why I didn't take the other one is because this one's coming and this lines up better.
Yes.
And I think when we understand we live intentional, we have our priorities in place. We can take a little of the emotion out. We can understand and we can see that, like, okay, but if I keep doing this, that stuff's going to come back around because it
Mhm.
always does.
Mhm.
There's always more opportunity.
Yes, that's right. And I want to take this to the opposite way, Jerry. for the times in our life when, we're believing for something, that we have this dream and it's not coming to pass.
Mhm.
So it might be the wrong time. We need to pass on it, but it might be something we've been waiting for, years, maybe
Yeah.
decades. And we're just like, when is this going to come? When is this opportunity and breakthrough going to come?
Yeah.
Those waiting times can be really discouraging on the opposite of that. And what I found in my life is that there's usually something that's still in the works, whether it's something that has to be developed in me, whether it's a connection that I haven't yet made, whether it's a skill set that I'm growing in. There's different reasons. We don't know it at the time, but we can look back. Hindsight's always 2020.
Yep.
When that opportunity does come, and we go, "Wow, I would have loved this opportunity 10 years ago, whatever, 20 years ago." But then we can look at it and go, but I was not ready for this. I
Right.
would, these pieces would not have been played out in my life to have me be prepared in order to take this new position or whatever it is, and a relationship or opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say that for the person that might be discouraged because they're not seeing breakthrough in an area. Maybe it's a mindset thing that needs to be developed in you. Maybe it's a connection that you need to make. But to just be encouraged that when it's the right time, it'll present itself to you. So keep working on yourself, keep growing yourself so that you're ready when the opportunity comes.
Well, and I think learning through every situation, right? You may not be in your perfect situation, but learning what you can through it. And that's what happened for me because when I first got out of college, I had exercise physiology degree and I was like, and the internet was pretty new.
Hmm.
And so I was like, I want to do this online coaching business, online in helping people with their fitness and helping people all this stuff. And I had several people who were like, you can't do that. It's not going to work. The internet's not going to do that. It's not going to, you don't have a business degree. You don't know how to run a business. You don't have, and I'll never forget one person was like, you don't even know how to put a business plan together. What are you doing? Like, why would you even think that? And so I didn't, I tabled it and I went into corporate world because I had to do something. Right. And so you go in the
Hmm.
corporate world, you start working, you do different things. And and when I looked back, when I started my business, um, 9 years ago, and I look back and I go, oh, I had that job because it prepared me to do this. I had that job that taught me how to read P&Ls. I did that job because it taught me about marketing. I had that job because it taught me how to, and all these things. And now I'm 9 years in, I've got a successful business. I still don't have a business plan,
Yeah.
right? Like, cause I'm like, I don't, from what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, I don't need one necessarily. And
Hmm.
so it's like, but I'm successful. I'm making more now than I've ever made at any of those corporate jobs. And but yeah, looking back at it, it's like I wanted those things back then, but I wasn't ready because I hadn't learned the right steps of the
Yes.
process to be able to
That's
put
a
it all together.
That's a great example of your now leads to your next.
Yep.
And now you're adding value to so many people,
Mhm.
and you're in a stage of life over these 9 years that has uh prior to that has prepared you to do these 9 years plus what the
Yep.
future to really be as effective as you are. I
Yep.
think that's incredible.
Yeah. Um, and it's fun, right?
Hmm.
Like, and I think that's the biggest difference in looking back at when I was at those jobs. And yeah, I was successful in them, right? We reached goals, we did things that nobody else had done in each of those different stages. Um, and but it wasn't bringing me that fulfillment, right?
Hmm.
To where now it's like, okay, I get it. I get it when people back then I was like, work is work. What are you talking about? Work is work. Like now, like, oh, no, I don't ever work. Like I never work. I'm always having fun,
Yeah,
you know?
that's terrific. That's
And
that's
and I
when you're in
think
the
that's
sweet spot.
yeah, that's the sweet spot. And I think that's out there for everybody. And
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. And that's one of the reasons why I try to help people with understanding like when you start to take care of yourself, then those things start to show up as to like, okay, I'm caring for myself. This is what my self cares for.
Hmm.
And then if you lean into those things from an industry standpoint or a work standpoint, then all of a sudden it's like, wow. life changes.
Yes. And life gets really enjoyable. Not that it's always
Yeah.
easy, but it gets
Right.
very enjoyable. Yes.
Right.
Totally agree.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, right? Like it doesn't have to be, you can be unique in any industry
Mhm.
and and still be able to do what you want to do. And so if you have a career and you've built up 20 years somewhere and you're like, oh, but I've got all this knowledge for this specific industry, you could still shift how you approach that, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's
And
right. And thinking outside the box, or maybe it's bouncing ideas or getting input from others, like what you said, getting input from others. Um, there's just endless opportunities and possibilities.
yeah,
And that's, as a leadership coach, that's one of the other areas I help people when they feel stuck.
yeah,
Most people, whether realizing it or not, we're wondering three questions. Do I matter? Is what I'm, does what I'm doing matter? And what's next?
yeah,
And so if we can get some clarity on those three questions, first of all, yes, you matter, you're a person of value. You matter, you're important, you make a
yeah,
difference. Number two, whatever you're doing, whether it's what you feel called and led to do, or you're not quite at that place yet, whatever you're doing, you're making a difference.
right,
And three, what's next? We always want to know that next thing. And that goes back to our now leads to our next.
yeah,
And so, as a leadership coach, I love helping people unpack that unique path that they have for their life. And they don't have to be like somebody else, but they can think
right,
outside the box, like what you've done, and create something that is unique to them and be able to be living that more joyous and fulfilled life.
yep. And like for me, one of the things that brings me more joy than anything, like internally, is when somebody says, nobody does what you do.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I know. That's because nobody should do what I do. We're unique. Like I'm not trying to copy anybody else. I'm trying to help people in my own way.
Yes.
And I've had other people say, oh, well, that's not scalable. You can't do this, da 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 da. Da. And I'm like, I don't need to be scalable. Right. Like I know what makes me happy and I know what makes me fulfilled. And like I don't need to be on
Hmm.
the Mount Rushmore of health gurus, you know.
Hmm.
Like I just need to be able to impact somebody.
Yes.
And I think when people and the other side effect of that is, yeah, I may not know what's going on in other parts of the world or, other industries or the latest up to date. I definitely don't know what's going on in Hollywood or, television, that kind of stuff anymore. Because that's not my priorities,
Hmm. So
and
it's no longer your distraction or your focus
right.
uh, to that. I love that you keep coming back to the word impact, Jerry, because again, with my 7 pillars of priority living, the first one is purpose. We talked about the second one is growth,
Mhm.
and it's all about growing ourselves. And but the third one is impact.
Yeah.
So the third one is impact. I have a backstory that I had a severe asthma attack and many years ago, and as a result of that, I had respiratory failure and I died. And so I realized that every day truly is a gift. I
Mhm.
don't believe you need to die to want to make an impact.
Right.
Um, I'm grateful that I was resuscitated and
Okay.
that I didn't die at 28 years of age. But I know that we all want to make an impact. We want to make an
Yeah.
impact with others who want to make an impact in a time that makes an impact and in a way that makes an impact. And I love that you talked about your making an impact is kind of your focus in your world. This is the area of the types of people and the ways in which you are focused to make an impact. And sometimes we can get too broad and we just
Right.
get too broad. And so again, we're not clear on our priority
Yeah.
or our priorities. And so in order to make an impact doesn't mean you have to impact the whole world.
Right.
There are those called to do that, but all of us are called to make an impact in our world. So
Right.
that could be a specific niche or it could be a specific person. Um, I love that making an impact, at least for me, is about making an impact in some way every day.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't, again, have to be this big worldwide thing,
Right.
but it could be, as a parent, changing a diaper in the middle of the night, that you just made an impact for that child.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and so it doesn't have to be changing the world. It could be changing a diaper, but we are all about wanting to make an impact in this world. And so that's where clarity on purpose and then growing ourselves leads to be able to be even more intentional about
Mhm.
making an impact.
Yep. And you did say, and I want to reiterate this, is that everybody is important. Like
Hmm.
has a purpose. Everybody has a reason for being here, and whether you know that reason or not, right? But everybody does, and somebody cares for every other person out there, right?
Yeah.
Like I know people care for me. I know people care for you. I know there's times when you might think like, oh my gosh, I'm all alone, but there's people that care about everybody out there,
Yes.
and so at times when it is tough, when it is I feel like I'm all alone, and I just saw this. I've seen this so many times, but I just saw this again this morning. Um, that Phil Knight from the creator, one of the creator founders of Nike, was giving a speech, and he said, you know, he asked people in the room to stand up if you run 1 day a week, stay
Mm.
standing if you run 2 days a week, stay standing if you run 3 days a week. And he said, okay, well, when you're out there running and it's dark and it's raining and you're wondering if anybody else is out there and you're all alone and you're trying to get he goes, we're the people out there with you.
Mm.
And that's what he meant by just do it, is like, we're the people out there with you to help you get through what you're
Hmm.
going through. And so when you're trying to find all your priorities, you're trying to figure out what your purpose is, you're trying to just remember you're not alone in that.
Right.
Right? There's other people out, whether you're getting a mentor to help you with it or not, there's other people out there that are cheering you on.
Yes. That is so encouraging. What a
I love that
great thing
story. Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to look that up because that is really, really inspiring.
Yep. Um, and I think that's one of the things that is it's so true, because when you do something like I've done, where you're out on your own and you're doing it, and then when I go out to a networking event or I see people around town and they ask how things are going and I tell them a little bit, and they're just like, oh my gosh, you're so inspiring, it's so awesome, I'm so glad you were able to do this. It's like, I saw you in the beginning and now you're here, like,
Hmm.
and all these things, and it does make you realize, like, oh, these people were cheering me on when I was doing this.
Yes.
They may not have texted me, they may not have called me, they may not have said anything, but behind the scenes, they were cheering me on, going, I hope you can do this.
It's always important that we have people in our corner and that
Yep.
we are the kind of people that are in other people's corner.
Right. Yeah. It's reciprocal.
That encouragement is so needed in our world. We have a lot of negativity, but when we are people of encouragement, we encourage others. Boy, that just we just we can really make an impact. Speaking
Yep.
of that,
Yep.
just even by encouraging words or shooting a text to someone, hey, I believe in you, or you matter, or I'm proud of you.
Yep.
Those are the kind of things that can really make a difference. I think of the quote, who needs encouragement? I think it was Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, who said, who needs encouragement? And he said, everybody who's breathing.
Yeah.
So just think of that. Everybody
Yep.
needs encouragement, even if you think they're on the top of their game.
Yeah.
They need encouragement. So we
Yep.
all need encouragement. I have two grandsons that just love to invest in them. But my younger grandson, a few years ago, he's probably 8 at the time,
Mhm.
and he doesn't have a phone, thankfully, but he does have an iPad. So we'll message each other every once in a while. And,
Yep.
with an 8-year-old, you don't get a lot of time. Like they'll say a few things
Mhm.
and then they're off. But
Yeah.
I said to him, I messaged him, I said, Oscar, I believe in you. And his reply, I screenshotted it because it just so touched me
Yeah.
when he said, Papa, thank you for believing in me.
Oh,
And it's just such a reminder to all of us that no matter our age,
yep.
we need the encouragement that someone's in our corner, that
Right.
someone's cheering us on. And maybe that's what somebody that's listening today needs to hear, Jerry, is
Yeah.
that they matter,
Right.
and keep going. You're not alone. And I love that, because that's one of the huge ways. It doesn't cost us anything to
Right.
encourage someone, right?
Yeah.
And that could be making the biggest impact day by day if we just are mindful of who can I encourage today.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And I think that's one of those priorities you can put into your life,
Hmm.
right? You can put in that to become the encourager, to become someone who's lifting other people up. Um, because like you said, it's something that doesn't cost us anything other than the intentional time to think about doing that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing comes back tenfold,
Hmm.
and I've seen that happen in my life and so many other people's lives, that when you do stuff like that, the payback is tenfold in the future. You don't know when, but it's going to be there.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep.
I think it's good for us to be reminded that we are all elevator people. We either are taking people up or we're bringing people down.
Oh, wow.
So we want to be the kind of elevator people that are always lifting people up.
Yep.
They say that, uh, there are certain people when you're around them that they're so focused on themselves and they talk all about themselves that when you leave them, you feel smaller because you're like,
Yeah.
wow, look at how amazing their life is.
Yeah.
But big people actually are people when you're around them, you leave and you feel bigger
Yeah.
because they were there lifting you up, encouraging you, asking about you. How's it going in your world? What's happening in your family? How can I support you? What connections do I have that I can make introductions for you? I mean, when you leave those people, you feel bigger
Yeah.
because they've lifted you up rather than, whoa, that was really a drain being around
Right.
that other
Right.
person. So
Yeah.
yeah, that all comes back to the encouragement and being an elevator person that lifts people versus bringing people down.
Yep. Oh, I love that analogy. Um, so, Bill, tell people how they can. Do you have an online presence? I know you've got the book that we want to make sure people know how to get.
Yeah, several different ways. If you're LinkedIn, you can find me under my name, and Facebook,
Okay.
just Bill Goodwin, and you
Okay.
can find me there. I'd love to connect with you through those channels. And then also, I'm on Instagram. Coach Bill Speaks is
Okay.
my Instagram, and then my book is called Priority Living, and the website for that, as well as goes to my business website, which is Priority Living Consulting Group,
Mhm.
where we do a variety of personal development and leadership development, coaching and keynote speaking and training for teams. And so you can go to PriorityLivingBook.com,
Okay.
PriorityLivingBook.com. That'll get you to the book page.
Yeah.
The actual business site for the consulting group is PriorityLivingCG.com,
Okay.
and love to connect with people, how I can add value to you if you're looking for a coach or be a part of a coaching cohort that I offer, as well as keynote speaking. And it's really my heart's desire is to add value to people.
Yeah.
And we know that everything rises and falls on leadership. So if I can develop and equip leaders to become the best that they can be, then our world will be a better place.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, and the key thing I want to make sure people remember is that when you're talking about leaders, and people think a lot of times that leadership coaches, they think of corporations, but
Mhm.
there's leaders everywhere,
Yes.
everywhere, and you need them everywhere, right?
Mhm.
Everywhere, like whether it's sports teams or PTA meetings, or like everywhere there's leaders, and it will, if people know how to lead well, then their world, their community, everything starts to shift and move forward.
Yes. And I think it's just a good reminder to people that, they think, well, I don't have a leadership position. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
So you can go to a playground and you can see children out there playing, and you're going to see who has influence. Hey, come on,
Yeah.
let's play tag, or let's do this, or let's play that. That young person right there is leading their
Yeah.
friends, and that's influence. And
Yeah.
so you don't have to have a title or a position to be a leader, but if you want to grow as a leader, you want to grow your influence, I'd love to be someone you consider to come alongside you and help lift you
Yeah.
and give you skills and equip you to be become even a better leader.
Yep. Well, that's awesome. Well, Bill, I want to thank you so much for being a guest. It's been a great conversation.
I have sure enjoyed it. Thank you, Jerry, for having me.
Thanks for checking out the Confidence Through Health podcast. Please subscribe, post a review, share this episode with those you love who need a little extra help with their health journey. Visit allinhealthandwellness.com to learn more about the coaching programs that I provide. All episodes are produced by the Social Media Cowboys, your source for all online marketing needs. Go to socialmediacowboys.com for more information.